Hello, I'm Elgato and welcome back to the video. So if I said I was playing Minecraft on a PC with a keyboard and mouse and asked you to guess whether I was playing the Java version or the Bedrock one, you'd probably be able to answer that fairly quickly. Looking at the game, you'd be able to say, oh yeah, well looking at the colors, you can tell just a little bit like the hotbar, something's a bit off, and this is probably the Bedrock version of the game. Or maybe you see the coordinates or something like that gives it away. But either way, it's fairly obvious to guess which version is which, and one of the ways why, that maybe you don't realize, or maybe you should, is the fact that the height and the way the terrain generates is entirely different on this version. And funnily enough, this terrain difference is actually one of the big reasons why Amplified on this version is not something they can just immediately add. It should be like, oh, Amplified is just an immediate option, but adding it to consoles was a really big deal. Adding it to the Java version in the first place was a really big deal, and I want to explain why with today's video, and also explain how terrain is very differently generated on the Java version than it is on the Bedrock here today. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video. You can like it if you do like it, because it helps out the channel, and lets know you do like this kind of semi-technical discussion. Again, I'm talking about the base level stuff that has been explained, but I find it to be fascinating, and maybe you didn't know about it before. So let's talk about the first kind of most interesting thing I'd say about the Bedrock version versus the Java one, and that is the fact that you actually see a significant increase in render distance and a significant increase in performance, both when generating the terrain and also when viewing it. So for instance, I've turned my thing up to max, and I'm still well below what my PC could probably perform, and I've got a 56 chunk render distance going in every single direction. That means that I can see something like 1,000 separate blocks every single way, and that means the amount of terrain I can see is insane. It's more than double, that's talking each direction, so more than quadruple the total area you would be able to see with the max render distance on the Java version. And although there are mods that can change that, the underlying reason for it is because the render engine is much more efficiently, and there's two reasons for that. The first one is the fact that obviously they rewrote it from scratch to run on phones, and it uses C, different program language, and the second is the fact that they actually they wrote it so that you only generate blocks that you can physically see. One of the big challenges for the longest time, you might not recall this if you didn't play the book edition, is the fact that getting ravines to work, like you can see over there, getting those to work on this version of the game was very, very tricky, because the game, wouldn't be able to work out like how to show all of the blocks in between, because usually the surface is like, this many blocks, but showing off a huge ravine or showing off an open cave, all at the same time, it caused issues for the game, and they had to work out like some complex rendering of them. But basically, because Minecraft only shows you and renders on screen the blocks you can see, the Bedrock version has significant performance improvements. And one of the parts of this, I assume for performance reasons, is the fact that the terrain will never generate above Y128. So again, look at the middle value of my coordinates. So again, I'm at 7, 93, 65, minus 28. The middle one is your height coordinate. So if I jump, it goes up 1. I want to get that out here and to get that clear, just so you can see that like as I go up a hill, it goes up from 64, which is the default, or 63, where the water is, to being a little bit higher, to 80, and then to 100, and so on and so forth. However, on this version of the game, they have an interesting limitation in place. It said something about how they code the game, where terrain will never generate above Y128. No matter what biome you find, I found one of the highest ones right here that I can find, but you can see no matter how high you get, you might think like, oh no, that's got to be above Y128. You will never find a biome with over 128 blocks. So we look at this one right here. As you can see, 119, as you can see right there, and we can see there's nothing for the 1,000 blocks in every direction that even comes close to being this high. Like this is like the highest point, and we're still 9 blocks below 128, the old height limit. So why is that so important? Well, even the Java version of Minecraft, if we switch over right now actually, so I'm going to do a magic thing, and then suddenly you're going to be not seeing the Windows 10 version and seeing the Java version. Wow, look at that magic right there. So here we are on the Java version of the game, where coordinates are a little bit harder to show because we have to press F3. But if you check on the left there, where it says X, Y, Z, and then shows 3 huge numbers that are very precise, yeah, you can see how the top of the terrain here generates to Y136, and then there's even a tree here which generates all the way up to Y144. So yeah, just this information alone tells you how high you can find, and you can get even higher than this sometimes under extreme circumstances. But the fact that we've gone above Y128 and that we can frequently go above that height is really quite interesting. And again, part of this reason is because of render engines, but also part of the reason is because they want the Bedrock version to run on every device, whereas this is just running on PCs, where there's generally more, again, all the stuff available, and because it doesn't cost them significantly more to go higher, whereas it does on the Bedrock version. So this means that the getting Amplified to work on this version right here. So I'm going to switch back magically. Wow, look at that. This is so crazy. We were doing something and now we're here again. But to switch back to this version, you can see how getting terrain to generate above this height causes significant performance decreases, and that means you have the issue of, do you add amplified version of this game? If you're going to do it, you want to add it for all devices, the biggest devices, the mobile devices, but getting it to work there is the trickiest of all of them. So yeah, why is amplified going to be such a hassle to get on the mobile devices? Because you have to ask yourself 2 questions. First of all, do you want this to run everything? And I assume their answer is yes, and if you do, then and you have to make significant performance enhancements, because getting terrain to go up to 119, 120 is already kind of hard. Like, it's somewhat tricky for the engine to guarantee across all platforms that you won't have lag just because you see something high in the sky. But what creates way more issues than just being able to be this high and being able to see something this high is, what if the terrain generated even higher than this? So we switch back one more time. So this is, again, the Java version of the game. If we back out of the game, we go back to the main menu and we make a new world. So we'll just call it New World. We go into Creative, and I'll show you what the amplified terrain looks like here. Because think about, instead of just going up like an extra 20 blocks, which again is something they've already not done, despite the fact that that would be how it would be on Java, an easy way to make seeds transferable. But also we just, I don't know, there we go, nice seed. You know, actually, let's just go with like ToyCat, just make it nice and simple. If we go with an amplified world, which by the way, clarifies beefy computer, mostly for the creation of the world, which again, making it so worlds load fast in this would be kind of tricky. So you gotta have worlds that load fast, you've gotta have worlds that can perform fast, and you've also gotta be able to make that happen across all your devices, including, again, Android and iPhone devices that could be years old, and that is the real challenge behind No Amplified on the Bedrock version. Getting it to work on just your Xbox One X, for instance, or just on a PC, obviously it'd be kind of easy. But look how high this goes in just a fairly normal biome. And if you, again, if they wanted to have full amplified, which I believe is their intention, because they haven't just like, you know, they've said they want to include it in 1.3, but they haven't, you know, like, if it was like if they're going to go the easy way, they'd probably have to do it slightly before then, one assumes maybe. But if you look at this right here, as you can see, I'm at 184, and then it goes even higher. It goes all the way up to 2, I'm assuming just go all the way to height limit, because the terrain doesn't stop at the high limit. The terrain can go insanely high, and this is what makes Amplified great, but it also, this tree generated at the height limit, and as you can see, that's kind of crazy. I haven't seen this happen in a while. But yeah, basically, my point here is, Amplified is pretty darn insane as it is on the Java version. Getting that to work on Bedrock version across all devices so that people have the thing they want from it, that's a real challenge. And honestly, if they can pull it off, if they can get Amplified, you have to admire the technical achievement in being able to overcome the Y128 limit, or it's like Y124 or so, but being able to overcome the limit they set for themselves and being able to double it, because again, 128 is 256, it's doubling the terrain, but it's also tripling the amount that goes from the floor. From the water level to here, it's tripled, because again, water level is at roughly half the first height limit, and that means they have to triple the amount that can render at any time without causing lags, without causing issues. And although realistically the option will be like, oh yeah, you're gonna need a good device for this, getting it to run on any phone at all would be a real accomplishment. So there you go, there is the technical reasons why Amplified cannot work on these versions, but why you should still expect it at some point in the future, and why if it does work in any sense of the word, it's actually going to be it's going to be kind of impressive. Because you can see actually, even with my like much reduced render distance, you can see the issues of like just getting things properly done here. Like there's a tiny bit of micro lag, as we walk around the place, and that is because this isn't really what's intended. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the little bit of a technical discussion about Amplified. Like to see if you did like it, because it helps out the channel a lot. Let's know you do like this sort of video. That's like kind of a cool little cave there. Again, I love Amplified worlds. Whenever they come out, I'm gonna be playing around with them a lot, and you can expect to see a bunch more videos about how they work, how they perform, etc. after out. But for now, hope you enjoyed the technical discussion, or semi-technical discussion, because I guess I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.